I met a gypsy.
Easy that you guys both made it through that period of time, because you just come off winning a championship in Australia and you're probably thinking like, oh, I've made it, like I've got a ride in Europe, like we're killing it. And then you get there and it's just like, it's like staying at a dodgy Airbnb, but you're locked in for like a year.
Yeah.
And all the photos are
100%,
sick.
like, I mean, yeah, I've like, in the end of the day, I was like, yeah, I won the title in Oz, but I never thought, like, I think that helped me as well, because I never thought that like, I'm coming over here to kill it straight away. I mean, I come over a little bit before it and I knew how hard it was already before I come. And obviously, like, you hear of so many teams that are also like not what they're made out to be. So I kind of had the expectations of that to be like, okay, like I'm not fully set up and ready to go out and just fucking kill it or just get straight good results. I was like expecting what happened kind of thing. Also like would go to the races and like, yeah, I qualify like 14th or 12th or something like that in EMX. And like, I was like, oh yeah, okay, first races and stuff like that. But there was also, you look at the timesheet and you're like, fuck, there's guys that I've never ever heard of. Like, and because Walsh and I had never been there before, like, we're just like, what the fuck is going on, you know? Like, we're trying to do like a hot lap of our life, but there's kids out there from like Italy. You go to an Italian EMX 250, there's like 80 riders roll up, so you have to qualify and shit.
Yeah.
And it's like the top 20, I think it was, yeah, the top 20 or something of both classes, or the top 18 went straight through. And then they had like a last chance qualifier that year that we were racing it. So you had to be the top 18 out of each group to go through. And then the first two from the last chance would go through from their race. And we went there and Walsh had to go through the last chance for the first GP. And he was like, come back to the truck, fucking peeking and stuff, because we're in the same session. And like, I went straight through, but I was like, man, I don't know what the fuck's going on. We're looking at this timesheet laughing a little bit like, fuck, this is crazy shit, you know? Like, he goes and does this last chance race, but I think he whole shot it and then won it. But like, he was stressing so hard that he was like not going to qualify and shit. But that year, I feel like he didn't qualify sometimes because he was so stressed about that. Like, I'd always be like, fuck, I don't care if I'm like 12th or 10th and I get like 20th gate pick or 15th gate pick, you know, like I didn't really care. But he was so like, fuck, I need to like go through that first qualifying so hard to like the point where he was like not qualifying
Stressing
because of that,
out,
I feel like. Yeah, just stressing hard. And then like, because he'd always be like, yeah, fuck, we're at the practice track, like almost same speed always. And then we get there and it's like such a big difference that like, I said, yeah, you need to like like care about it less, you know, like doesn't matter if we're like fucking 15th and 16th or whatever in qualifying, it doesn't really matter. Yeah. But then like also he was struggling a little bit with the bike and stuff too, like, because we did at the first round, we had like a good bike each. And it was like decent, you know, they had like good power and everything, but it got like, little bit less and a little bit less as we went on, you know, so it got pretty hard to like do good. And like we'd go to the practice tracks all the time, and because like everyone's at the practice tracks here, like you ride there on like a standard bike and everyone's got like sick bikes, even like the satellite teams then when we were riding had like super sick bikes that were like quite fast and stuff anyway. So like, I don't know, going back to like the part where it's like, I'm glad he was here for that, because I mean, you can go to the practice track and be like 3 seconds a lap slower than everyone because your bike's like fucking doesn't even pull through the sand. So you could almost go home depressed about that. But we just like tried to make it a good time. So I mean, like, I feel like that's the reason we both stuck it out, is because we were like, you know, fuck it. Like if we were on like a decent bike as well, we could do a lot more. So like, we both stayed, stuck it out, both got like on a good bike, and then showed what we could do. And he's he's more like keen on America and stuff now, which is like, in the end, I thought would suit him more anyway. Even when he was here, he wanted to do Supercross and race over there and do that shit. So it's pretty cool to see him doing that sort of stuff now. Like, even this year, he went over for, what's the first coast? It's like
West Coast. He did like the first 5 or 6 rounds.
West.
West Coast, I think.
Yeah. So he went and did that with his team. They all went over there. So I don't know. That was pretty sick to see him do that, because it's something that he wanted to do for like such a long time. And then even talking to him about it now, he's fucking stoked on doing it and wants to like kind of stay over there if he can. Which I think could possibly happen. Like, he's put in decent enough results for someone to pick him up and be like, I feel like there, if you get like a factory bike, you make the step. But it's more hard to get a gig there, because they have so many guys that are like super young that are just coming through. Like, they're already signed up for stepping up to the pro level. So they have like kids that are like 13, 14, 15, 16. They're just ready for like every year that someone wants to step up, or someone steps out of the 250 class, that they can go straight in, you know? So that makes it hard to get a factory ride there. But I feel like if you get the opportunity or the chance, then you make like a huge step, because you've got all the shit to do good. I mean, like, you have like the practice mechanic, you have the program. Normally the teams have all trainers and shit like that now. So, I mean, it's not like that he's not doing that anyway. I think it just gives you the confidence that you're like, yeah, fuck, I'm doing everything that everyone else is doing anyway. That gives you like the confidence. You make that little step. You're like, oh, the bike's better. Just shit like that. I mean, for in America anyway, you know, that you can make that little step, especially in that 250 class. I mean, the bikes are so competitive and shit these days, like that, you need pretty much like a factory gig to be like really competitive there, you know?
Man, it's underrated. I mean, like, I'm trying to train at the moment for a race, and I rode Thursday and then I rode today, and it's like, I'm fucked. Like, I gotta wash my bike, all my gear, like air filter, all the shit that you gotta do. And like, when you're that privateer kind of guy, or not full privateer, like you're on a team, but it's not the best team. Like, there's still so much stuff that you're doing. And like today, because I had to come do this straight after, pretty much, I just left my bike at Maddie's. Yeah. And then the difference between me riding, bringing all my shit home, washing my bike in the dark, the whole deal, loading, unloading, versus like today, drove to Maddie's, dropped off my shit, got in the car, come here. Yeah. I was just like, fuck, this is the difference between being a factory rider or like a privateer on like a lower team. There's just so much auxiliary shit that you end up having to do, which has absolutely nothing to do with getting better on a bike. Yeah,
100%. Like, I feel like when I come here and then had the chance to have a practice mechanic and shit like that does handle that side of things, I mean, it kind of gives you a lot more time to improve yourself, you know what I mean? Like, if, say, when I was in Australia, to do everything, it was like a slog. Like, you go home, wash your bike, then you have to go cycling, or you have to go running or something like that. It's like, fuck, I almost don't have the energy to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Where it was like so mentally draining, where now you can like kind of relax, you go straight back, do your shit that you need to do, go home, have dinner. It's so much less stress. I mean, in Australia, I think that'd be a cool thing if we seen like people start to get like practice mechanics and stuff like that. I mean, it's not like, as in to say like a spoiled thing, but I mean, it's just so much easier to do your job properly.
Yeah.
Where you can like super focus on like only you. I mean, in a way, like, it's so good to learn how to work on the bike and shit like that. But then in the end of the day, if you're not that good at it, also it's so much better to have someone that knows exactly what they're doing as a mechanic to work on the bike. You know, oh fuck, it's going to be in good shape the next day that I ride it. Like, you're not worried about pinching the tube when you put it in. You're not worried about doing that shit because like, yeah, like it's so much better. Their job is to look after the bike, and you know that it's like every time you go on it, you're like, oh, it's the best it can be, you know? Where when you do it yourself, it's also like, fuck, did I do that properly? Or like, you have to double check everything. Like, it's not a bad thing at all. I mean, you also have to trust yourself to be able to do it properly. And like, I'm sure being a mechanic, you would also be shitting yourself, making sure everything is good. And you know what I mean? And so it's like it's a good way to have it. So like, even here though, it's more difficult because all the tracks open at like 1 o'clock. So it's not like you can get up 9, eat breakfast, go straight to the track, moto, go home, do everything in time. It's like you get up, wait half the day. So maybe you can do, well, for me, I don't like to train before I ride so much. So I'd rather be like 100% when I get on the bike, then train afterwards. And it's like quite difficult to do that like here on the ride days, because you don't go to the track till 1 o'clock, get home sometimes like 6:30. So you still got to do like the recovery cycle and everything like that after riding. When you get home, go straight home, dinner, pretty much go bed. The next day depends like if you're riding again or not, same shit. But like, I feel like here you also have to drive quite far to the tracks and stuff, so you got to leave like earlier and that anyway. But I mean, it's quite difficult than if you woke up like 8:30, went to the track, you get there 9:30, 10 o'clock, ride until 12 or 1, and then go home. You got like the rest of the afternoon to do recovery, clean all your shit, make everything good. But then the fact of it here is that you can't ride until later, so it makes everything that little bit more difficult, which is like another benefit to having like someone that does look after the bike and does do that stuff. Because I mean, I feel like if you had to do that, you would almost do like no training that day. Of course you can do it in the morning. Like, I still do it sometimes in the mornings here, like a warm-up session before going. Normally I try and like just do some stretching and shit like that, make sure I feel good before I ride. But like, I mean, everyone's different in the way that they train and stuff like that, and how they all like to do it. So, I mean, everyone's on like a similar but different program. I mean, like, I feel like everyone does pretty much the same kind of thing here. But it's just the way they do it is a little bit different. So, I feel like on that side of things, it's definitely super important to have a practice mechanic, and just allows us to do the best job we can do to be ready to perform on the weekends.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.